I'm just going to go right out and say this. People with degrees in journalism, people who are smart enough to have made careers writing about football for a living, are smart enough to understand how the draft works. They're smart enough to understand how the whole concept of the draft, the fact that teams lower with worse records get to pick players earlier, they're smart enough to understand that that whole concept doesn't really work if the players can just sort of opt out. If it's considered a legitimate option, just say, oh, no, no thanks, I don't want to play for that team, they're bad. Then the whole thing, you might as well throw it out, because the whole thing, the concept of the draft doesn't work if players can do that. Now, it works because players almost never do that. It's remarkably rare for a player to try and pull an Eli, as they're calling it now. Exactly. Exactly. So, what are you saying if you're saying a particular player like Joe Burrow should do that? Why is his career that much more important? Why is he that much more special that he should be allowed to do what almost no other player does? That he should somehow just be exempt from the chance that every player coming out of college has to take, that they might end up on a bad team. There are players in the NFL that there could be, if they'd had better luck in terms of the teams they'd played for, there might be a Hall of Fame case to be made for them. But they went to the teams that picked them, and that's where they started their career, and they played, and that was that. What are you saying to them when you're saying, well, hey, this player's got a bright future, so, he shouldn't have to go to the team that might draft him if he's number one overall? What's the message you're sending to them? Why is Burrow more important than them? Why is his future so important he should be exempt from what all of them went through? That's where we're at, right? What am I missing? What am I missing? If you think players in general should do this, then you should throw out the concept of the draft, because it doesn't make any sense. The concept doesn't work if the players can opt out. If you're saying, no, players should just, respect the process, play for the team that drafts them, but this player shouldn't, why? Why should this player be exempt? And all this stuff about Carson Palmer, telling him he should do it because it's the Bengals. Well, guess what, Carson? You took them to one playoff appearance. When you left, they went to 5 straight. So, they know something about team building. They went to 5 straight playoff appearances with a quarterback that most analysts consider the epitome of average. I don't know. Maybe if they had had a better quarterback, they could have won some playoff games. Unless you don't think Carson Palmer is a better quarterback than Andy Dalton, I don't know. It doesn't look like it was a good choice on his part. Looks to me like maybe he pissed away the chance to win some serious playoff games with the Bengals. I get the argument. I get the argument that the Bengals are not a well-run organization necessarily. I get the argument that of all the teams you could end up playing for, there's better teams you could end up playing for. But you know what? A lot of organizations in the NFL are arguably not well-run organizations. And I don't think the people that are making this argument would make the exception only for a player that might go to the Bengals. I think there's other teams you would have to make the exception for too, Ownership of the Raiders, you could argue, based on the last couple decades. not a team that knows what it's doing. You could make that case about the Browns. You could make that case about a lot of these teams. Yeah, someone needs to tell me what I'm missing here. I just don't know.